Man, welcome back to season 3 of the Sculptors Podcast. I can't believe I'm saying season 3. Man, I am so grateful for the many of you who have listened and subscribed and joined in the conversation. What a privilege it is to know that my voice gets to journey with you in your life. I don't take that for granted. Don't take that for granted. So I just want to say thank you for consistently joining in, sharing the conversations, whether it's through the reels or the shorts or the post or the podcast itself. However, my voice has added value to your life. I'm grateful. And let me tell you, this season is going to continue with what we've always done, and that is we look at simple stories that tell us complex human patterns and truths. That's what we're doing. What's what we're doing? So our goal is not to diagnose or to fix, right? It's to simply bring awareness and provide some tools that help us live better, lead better, and love better in all of our relationships. And, I always tell you that leadership always begins with you. Like the first person we lead is ourselves, and then we lead others. And so here we are, and in every episode, I'm going to have a children's book. And I love that we get to learn from children's books, and not because our issues are childish, but because the human condition, children's books have a way of highlighting those conditions. And so, man, so today's story, it's going to look like it's about humility and ego, but it's really about something much quieter and much more dangerous than either of those. And so I want to start by asking this simple question. Where have you been telling yourself, I'm fine, while quietly resenting the relationship you're trying to protect? I know, right out the gate, right? Where have you been telling yourself, I'm fine, but you've been quietly resenting the relationship that you're trying to protect? There's this children's book, and it's called Humble Pie. And this is probably the first episode where I'm not going to read the book cover to cover for you, but I want to kind of give you a summary of it, right? It's on the surface, again, it looks like it's a story about ego and humility, but when you slow down, something much, much, much deeper is happening. It's like it's about when you look and you meet this character. His name is Pie. I know, humble pie, right? His name is Pie, and Pie is someone who prides himself in staying in the background. You know those kinds of people. That might be you, where you support others. He smooths things over for the other character. He keeps things running. He's the one in the backdrop taking care of things. He tells himself that being overlooked, it's just part of being humble, And he has this best friend. His best friend's name is Cake. Yeah. Cake is talented and busy and capable. And Pie is more than willing to carry the extra weight so that Cake can shine, right? Again, we know these kinds of people who are happy to stay in the background so that you can shine or that others can shine. And they call it humility. But the tension in the story builds, right? When they choose each other as partners for a lab project, and they at first they're like, "This is great! Like this is a dream team. Me and my best bud working on something together. Let's go!" And at first it's like it's okay, but as the deadline approaches, Cake stops showing up to help, and Pie is left to do all the work alone. Yeah. And this is where resentment is born, right in that moment, right there. Not because Cake is being cruel, because Cake's not being cruel, but because Pie has silently started absorbing the stress while telling himself, I'm fine. Oh man, the pressure builds, the and it just becomes like unbearable to Pi at this point. And for the first time he realizes that his version of humility comes with a price. Ah, yeah. He hasn't been honest about how he's feeling. And he hasn't named what he needs, and his silence is now allowed to grow into resentment. And so when Pi finally speaks up, something important happens. Not blame, it's not rejection, repair happens. Yeah. And probably the thing that is most important in what happens is both he and Cake grow. Because Cake realizes he's been neglectful because he let his ego get in the way of all the other things he was too busy to pay attention to. But Pi realizes some things about himself too. So, and here's what stuck with me: it's that both Pi and Cake, they don't have opposite problems, right? Because sometimes we think ego and humility are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But I'm telling you, they're the same coin, just different sides of that same coin. They have the same problem. It's just being expressed differently. See, Cake's issue seems obvious, right? He's loud, he's busy, he's so like egotistical. And Pi, that issue seems quieter. Like he shrinks back, he stays in the background, and he calls it humility. But both of them are mismanaging their self-worth. Yeah, see? Both of them are managing their worth externally. One says this: I matter if I'm superior. If I'm the best of the best, if I'm the one out front, I matter. You know what the other one says? I matter if I don't take up space and everybody else is okay. See, both of them are about everybody else. Same wound, different costume. Oh man, here's where it gets dangerous, right? When we stay quiet about what affects us, when something is happening and we don't say anything, it still happens to us. It's inside of us, right? And I'll call it resentment is what happens. And let me give you a definition of resentment, because resentment is not pettiness, right? It's not bitterness for no reason. Something happened that we didn't deal with. Resentment is when anger is misunderstood, or when anger is dismissed. That's a better way to describe it. So resentment is when anger is dismissed as unsafe. Like when I think expressing that anger about the offense is going to be unsafe. And when I say unsafe, I don't mean that the person's going to explode at us. No, that's not what I mean. I'm afraid that they're going to reject me. And so I don't express it. Anger is information. It is. It's not good or bad. It's just information, right? And it tells us that something mattered, that something crossed the line, that something got hurt or someone got hurt. But when we tell ourselves it's not worth saying, or that it's okay, then that information doesn't disappear. It just gets turned inward, and it's called resentment. And here's what's dangerous about resentment: it never stays silent. I mean, it looks silent on the surface, but it never stays silent. It just stops using words. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It shows up as withdrawal, Like I just start pulling back, or I'm less warm in the relationship where I was like all open and friendly and warm and hugging, and now I'm like it's not so much. Sometimes it means my answers get short, or I get short with you. I start. Uh, I might seem a little irritable, or there's heaviness in the room, in the relationship. The energy, the vibe is different. And the other person senses that something is different, and they ask this question. You're familiar with this. Are you okay? Or they ask, hey, are we okay? Oh, and then the lie comes. And here's the lie. You ready? We say, I'm fine. Or we're fine. We're okay. Oh, that is the moment that things shift. Because what we do then is we begin to disconnect, but we remain adjacent. Oh man, adjacency. It's not that the other person it has gone anywhere. We stay close enough to belong, close enough to belong, but far enough not to be known. I start pulling away, putting up boundaries emotionally and mentally. And at that point, the other person isn't a villain. They just were never given the information. They needed the information so that they could respond. Now, the erosion of the relationship is something that you're maintaining because you won't say anything. Hmm. Now, let me say that again. When I don't share with someone something they've done that's offensive, they are not responsible for the erosion of the relationship. I am, because I've never given them the information that what they did was offensive. And so I stay quietly angry rather. And that anger becomes resentment. Hmm. Mm. And y'all, resentment is oh man. I began to drink the poison on behalf of the offense. This is what happened to Pie. Just I'm okay. I don't mind. No, I don't want to be in spotlight. No, don't celebrate me. No, don't acknowledge me. I'm good. Like that's become so familiar to you that you don't even remember that you're lying to yourself about it. You're not okay. And it doesn't mean that you want this big billboard celebration, but thank you goes a long way. Hey, I appreciate that you took care of that for me. Goes a long way. Hey, can y'all help me thank so and so for the way they just show up, like in the background, like they don't want to be out here in the front, but they're doing so much to make everything work. Like you resent the folk when you're in the background of their life, helping them be successful, and they never acknowledge you. Mm, 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 mm. So let me give you some tools to help you move this thing along. All right. Uh, and, and 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 so if you see yourself here, if you recognize, yeah, that's me right there. Mm-hmm. Let, let let that bring relief and not condemnation or shame. Like you didn't do anything wrong. Because really, you're not being weak. You're trying to protect the connection you have with someone. That's okay. It's not that you're a wrong person. It's that your strategy isn't effective. But also, I want you to realize this: that most of us learned early, and even I would even say often unconsciously, that silence was good, that honesty, like being honest, was to risk rejection. And so silence became the strategy. And so you don't say anything. Just get quiet because you won't want to lose the relationship. But can I be honest? You already are losing because you start withdrawing internally. Ah, this is a human pattern. And that's why I don't want you to feel shame about it or be embarrassed or anything. Like, no, don't even be disappointed in yourself. Like, this is the way we've been conditioned, and we can do something about it, right? We can be, if I can learn something, I can unlearn it and relearn something else, right? And so this patterns makes sense, but it no longer serves me. It may have served me at some point in my life, but it doesn't serve me now. And so relief is not letting yourself off the hook. It's taking shame out of the equation so that growth is possible. That's all we're doing. Because without relief, then the responsibility of this feels like an accusation. But when I have relief, then I can act in my agency. And agency is the power you have to do something about your situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have power to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which brings us to this issue of responsibility. Um, See, because when we look at it, we in the story we think, well, Cake is the person, is the character who reneged on their responsibility. But I'm going to tell you, Pie reneged on their responsibility in the relationship because he was feeling something and experiencing something and never said anything. See, responsibility isn't fixing the relationship. That's not what this is. That's not what we're asking. It's refusing to maintain the false version of the relationship. It's when I decide to stop lying to myself and everybody else. I am not fine. This is not okay. But here's the deal. You're not responsible for how other people respond, like how they react. You're not responsible for whether or not they agree, because they may not. You're not even responsible for the outcome of the conversation to be ideal. But what you are responsible for is accuracy and truthfulness and not disappearing in the relationship to preserve peace. Yeah, see. And this is where people get stuck, right? Because they refused honesty, right? They refuse it, or they confuse honesty with control. See, honesty is not about controlling the outcomes. It's about ending your pretense. So responsibility might say, I won't keep acting like nothing is happening when something clearly is. That's it. That's all honest. Taking responsibility says, I won't keep acting like nothing's going on when there really is something going on. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be a little thing, right? But if I don't address that little thing, it grows and it becomes. And I just keep adding on those little things until it's a big thing. And then out of nowhere, I start acting all kinds of crazy. And the person listening at me like, what? What happened? Wait, I thought we were okay. My wife and I have this rule, right? It's like, if you tell me you're fine, I'm going to treat you like it's fine. And don't you go resenting me when you didn't tell me it wasn't fine. That's not fair. But all of that, taking relief and responsibility takes courage. It takes courage. And courage doesn't start when I confront the situation or the issue. No. It starts internally. It starts before I even speak to another person. When I begin to ask myself this question, here's a pivotal question right here. If my anger were allowed to speak without consequence, what would it say? You notice I didn't say what should it say. Like what would it say? What maybe it sounds like this. Maybe it's like when I'm being honest and I'm being responsible and I'm operating out of courage, I might say, I'm tired. Or maybe I feel like I'm being taken for granted. Hmm. I'm overwhelmed. I need help. Hey, I matter too. Oh, see, that's not cruelty, right? That's information. And sometimes what we're afraid of is that if we tell the truth about this, then that truth will be heard as a demand. And when someone hears truth as a demand, they get defensive. Yep. And defensiveness gets heard like this. Instead of hearing that you're overwhelmed or you feel like you're not appreciated or that you're taken for granted or you need help or whatever, right? When you say that truth, you know what the other person hears? You need to change so I can be okay. But that's not what they're saying. They're not saying that you need to change so they can be okay. They're telling you what the condition they're in. And courage is learning to speak without turning the truth into a demand. I'm not asking you to change. I'm acknowledging that I'm not okay. Because really, the only person I can change is me. I can't change you. I can only change me. So I got to make a decision about how I'm going to respond to what's happening here. And that's what makes honesty survivable in a relationship. When you speak honestly and truthfully without speaking harshly. Because you know you can be honest without being harsh. See, because some folk are like, I'm just going to tell him like it is. I'm just going to tell him like, it's like, yeah, but you ain't got to be cruel. You ain't got to be harsh to tell somebody like it is. And typically when somebody says that, because they're trying to tell you about yourself and they're really not being honest about themselves. And that brings me to this last one. Like if I can find relief so I can operate an agency and I can have responsibility and take responsibility for what's really happening, and I have the courage to tell the truth about the condition I'm really in, then that brings hope. And hope is the realization that I can be honest and still stay connected, even if the relationship changes. Yeah. See, hope is no longer measuring success by whether or not somebody liked it or whether or not they approved or agreed or whether or not things went smoothly. No. Hope's the measure of success when I'm operating from the place of hope is I start asking myself, like, did I remain present? Did I tell the truth? Did I stop abandoning myself? And that's not reckless, y'all. That's integrity. And often you've heard me say the integrity, and you may have heard somebody else say it this way. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. It's not just doing the right thing by you. Integrity is showing up and doing right by me. See, how you gonna have great integrity with everybody else and lack integrity with yourself? When there's integrity and it's practiced over time, it builds relationships and it builds their capacity to be able to handle truth. Okay. Okay. So I want to leave you with this question. Where have you been saying, I'm fine? Not because you are, but because it felt safer than telling the truth. You don't have to say everything today, right? You ain't got to lay it all out today. But you do have to stop lying to yourself. You are not okay. And you are not fine. Stop drinking the poison of resentment on their behalf. All right. Let me read this, and then I'm going to be done. Many people don't suffer because they think too highly of themselves, but because they think so little of themselves that they disappear, self-betray, and then quietly resent the world for not noticing. I know, like if that's how we start in the year, listen, this is it right here. This is where we are. I'm committed to being better in 2026, and I'm hoping that you are too. This is the Life Sculptors Podcast. I'm Dante Poole, your host, and if you know somebody who's like, yeah, I need to share this with, please share this with somebody. Would you like and subscribe? Would you comment on it too? Just talk. Let's have a conversation about it. I'm here for it. And if you don't remember anything else, remember this. You're exactly enough. Till next time.